how to manifest money in less than 72 hours. Okay. Now, I've made videos where I talked about manifesting an SP in 24 hours and basically roasting you guys for being in such a rush. However, for money, sometimes it can be a little different. Sometimes we have rent to pay, right? And maybe you're running low on cash. Things happen. Well, the interesting part is when I got into the manifestation space, and I'm getting somewhere, you bastard, okay? Just give me a second, all right? When I got into manifestation, the thing that I struggled more with manifesting was SPs, which I eventually mastered. But money was something that I almost never even tried to affirm for or tried to visualize for, because there has always been a certain detachment from money. So if there's any guy who knows about detachment from money, it would be me, okay? I've had money show up out of the blue before. I remember one time I was broke until the next paycheck, because I was living paycheck to paycheck and I needed money for gas, and I work at a restaurant and I'm not even a waiter, okay? I'm just the manager who just really gets to stand around and do nothing. But I was helping out in the dining, cleaning the tables, and the one time I help out, boom, there's a 20, and there I am, good for gas. I don't think there was ever a moment in my life where I needed money and somehow, some way, it didn't just come out of my ass. So, like I said, if there's anybody who's had luck with money, it's been me. So, what I would do if I was on a deadline and I needed money really, really quick, what are the techniques that I would do, right? Without having to fucking get a damn cash loan, okay? The thing about money is there's two ways you can approach this. You can sit on your ass and just expect it to be handed to you on a silver platter, or you can accept the fact that you might still have to do something to get the money. But what I'm trying to say is with anything in manifesting, whether it's manifesting an SP or manifesting money, if the action feels forced, then that is not inspired action. That is simply you trying to mess with the 3D and tamper with something that, I mean, when you pray to God and he sees you praying and you say, thank you, God, for giving me what I need, but then you go over there and act like if you did not just talk to God about this, and you're tampering with the circumstances, he's going to say like, well, do you not trust me? So when you do things that basically show that you don't have the faith, that is not inspired action. So that's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is, don't just think that techniques like this mean that the money is just going to fall out from the fucking sky, from the sky like Chicken Little, okay? Don't necessarily expect that. But you might find yourself that you say, wait a second, I just remembered I have this thing from Target that I've been meaning to return, and it's weird, I just remembered that, and boom, you go to Target and there's an easy 40 bucks right there. Okay, now maybe some of you guys are trying to manifest a quick 20K. Well, look, I've never had to do that, but look, manifestation is so damn powerful. You could even manifest $1 million in 72 hours. You never know. So what I would do, right, is I would first of all tread lightly, because if it's more money, and I know you're like, this guy does not shut the fuck up. Can you just get to the fucking point? But I'm telling you, money is a little bit different, because remember, okay, what if you have to end up robbing a bank, okay? Hey, just get ready, okay? The prison sentences are long. So just know that if this is of you just wanting the money just to have it rather than that you have to pay rent, you better be careful what you could get yourself into, because this shit really does work. And I don't want you guys to stumble upon a whole lot of money, and then you lose all your friends because you realize that they're all fake, and you're left feeling more depressed than before, okay? Because money, it can change people's lives, okay? So let me just get to the damn technique, Neil, okay? So what I would do is I would self-pedestalize myself and take myself away from this mindset that money is hard to come by. I would say that people get mad whenever I am broke, to the point where they will give their whole life savings just to see me happy. I would tell myself things like, banks are willing to give me 90% of all the money that they have in their stash, just so that way they could see me have a smile on my face. I would say that money is a magnet to me like flies to fucking shit. 20K is like drinking water to me. Say the most crazy, obnoxious things. And remember, you said 72 hours, right? Well, again, I don't like to rush manifestations, but if you really want to go crazy, say these types of things throughout the fucking day, at least 20 times a fucking hour, okay? I mean, don't stop. Whenever you think about, fuck, I still owe $2,000, say $2,000. I can wipe my ass with 50K, let alone $2,000, okay? I make Jeff Bezos look like a fucking peasant. Say the most craziest fucking affirmations, which is what I like to call self-pedestalizations or narc-maxing, where you basically talk to yourself like if you are a god, like you're a king who doesn't give a fuck. Make these as crazy and ridiculous as possible, because whenever you say the most craziest affirmations, it is so opposite of what we are normally accustomed to saying in our mind, in our inner dialogue, that your subconscious has no other choice but to give you a feeling. And when you feel stuff in affirmations, it impresses your subconscious. And when you impress your subconscious with affirmations like this, it has no other choice but to reflect. Just like when you constantly are impressing your subconscious with, oh, my boss is going to yell at me, what if my girlfriend cheats on me? And then boom, you catch yourself cheating on you, you know, at the fucking drive-in movie theater watching novellas. I don't know. So that's what I would do. And then lastly, I would create a quick 5-second imaginal act in your mind. Make it as natural as possible. Make it in first person perspective, and make it short and concise. Those are the 3 keys. When you make it natural, it's not going to feel so, you know, like, well, this will never happen. If you make it 5 seconds or even shorter, it is, look, our attention span can only last no more than 10 seconds, scientifically proven. So whenever you're reading a book, for example, even if you read it from cover to cover, you only pick up 10% of the information. It's the same thing with imaginal acts. The shorter, the better, because our minds just wander like crazy, especially if you are not in a theta state or in a sat session right before bed. You're probably right now on your way to work, okay? Or you're probably in the line at the DMV, or maybe you are thinking about getting a cash loan and you're thinking twice about it, right? It's in the middle of the day, you're watching this, you need money quick, so you don't have time to fucking go into a pentagram of candles and a yoga stance, okay? So 5 seconds or less, the more the merrier. And then what was the other one? First person perspective. When you do it in first person perspective, you literally feel like you have it, because that's the way we live in the 3D. We see our hands like a first person shooter, like fucking Call of Duty. So do it in first person perspective, because if you see yourself from an outsider's perspective, you might end up getting the reflection of you seeing somebody else with the money, okay? First person perspective. So what I would do is I would simply imagine somebody paying it to me in cash. Or if you really have the image of your bank mobile app, like I do, I have PNC, Imagine the feeling that you get when it's loading. And, you know, I don't know if this happens to you, but on my PNC app, it takes like a good 20 seconds just to load sometimes. And sometimes it's almost like, okay, drum roll, please. And then when I see my available balance boost up, and it's like, oh shit, I got a bonus. It's like a fucking boulder of excitement that just lifts up all the way from my tummy all the way to my chest, and it's just the best feeling ever. So me, I would do that. You could think of it in your mobile app, you could think of somebody paying it to you in cash, or you could think of it where you already paid whatever you had to pay, and you're telling your friend, it's like, bro, I cannot believe that I finally got that paid for, bro. Like, it just came in so clutch at the last minute. And then keep, you know, replaying that clip over and over again. It just came at the last minute, bro. It just came at the last minute. And then slow-mo that shit. It just came at the last minute. And just replay that fucking 50 times an hour. I don't know, because remember, 72 hours, the more you keep impressing your subconscious, the more it's going to happen quicker. So that's what I would do. But for future reference, don't get yourself in a situation where you need money like that. If you feel like money's hard to come by, then you will keep manifesting a situation where you have to constantly be, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, or, you know, trying to make ends meet, and running out of money at the last minute, and having to ask for payment arrangements. Don't do that. Tell yourself that nobody is happy unless you have $1 million in your wallet. The US is tempted to take out of its national debt just to make you happy. Say the most craziest things about money. That money to you is easier than taking a shit. I don't know, whatever. Every single time you breathe, $1,000 is deposited in your bank account. And we breathe a lot of fucking times throughout the day. Say crazy things like that. Keep replaying that quick 5-second imaginal act in your subconscious. And remember that it does not have to be an IMAX 3D Blu-ray. What matters is that your subconscious is impressed and that you feel a feeling, okay? So that is it, guys. I am Neil Arthos. This is all that the I'm Awareness had to say. And I know you're gonna